guys, welcome back to my channel, The You in Fashion. My name's Megan. On my channel we discuss fashion, luxury, handbags, and lifestyle. So if you're interested in any of those topics, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notifications bell down below so you don't miss any of my content. So in today's video we are going to be doing a lifestyle video, and you guys know it's super important for me on my channel for me to just hit things that I'm really loving, hit things I'm really liking, and this definitely falls into that. So in my last video I did my skincare routine, my Drunk Elephant and my Super Goop that I really like as skincare products for my skin. And then I was like, how perfect would it be to go ahead and transition into my favorite makeup picks. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I am going to be focusing on Fenty beauty products because they had their Fenty Fam sale going on, and that started on Wednesday, and I believe it ends the 28th. I wanted to make sure I got a chance to release this video in time where if you haven't already done the sale, that you still have time to go ahead and order some of these things that I'm going to discuss in the video. Now, the other uploads are going to be on Wednesday, which is going to be part 2, and then the final one will be on my regular upload day next Sunday, which will be part 3. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you what's going to be in those. That way you can look out for those. Part 2 will be the eyes, and part 3 will be the lips and the final setting. I saved those for a little bit later so that the video again wouldn't be so long. And also within those I talk a little bit about the techniques that they use, but I'm going to talk about the products that would help to create those looks mainly in this one so that you still have time to get some of the products. What I'll add is the only things that I feel like I don't discuss in this video that are good. Going to be your lip paint is not discussed in this one in the color Unbutton. The Fussy lip gloss isn't discussed in this one, but if you're interested, I really like their lip glosses. They use Fussy. I personally have the Fenty Glow, which I have on right now. Other things not discussed in this video is the color that they use for the eyeshadow, and you're going to see that I use my own eyeshadow colors, but he actually uses bronzer in the tutorial. So if you're interested, the darker shade he uses to create the smoky eye is the Mocha Mamie Cocoa Naughty, and he also uses shade of concealer for that. So those are the only things that I want to throw out there just so you don't miss the sale on those items if you're interested in adding some of those to the collection. But this video is going to start with the base. So I'm following the Bronze Glow tutorial on the Fenty website, and I came across this when I was looking at the bronzer, which is something that I had not previously had in my makeup routine. So I was like, well, with this sale, I really want to get into what is all of this bronzer about. And this is the finished look on this. I feel it turned out really well. I'm really impressed. I had under the bronzer section this tutorial video that showed you kind of how to use bronzer within your makeup routine, and I loved it. I thought it was super easy to follow, and what I really liked was it helped bring everything together. He started from the foundation and built his way up to the last step of the lip, and I really liked that because I feel like when you don't do makeup a whole lot, I had trouble in even deciding what those steps were. Like, what do you start with first to get to that end look, to get the look that you want? So I really like that. I'm going to link in the description box. I'm going to link on their website where you can find this video, and also all the products that are going to be used within this video will be linked below as well. So again, I just wanted to start with the finished look so you'll know where we're headed, but let's go ahead and get started with the base, starting with primer and foundation. Okay, so let's get started with priming first, and we are going to start with their Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Primer. This one is their most popular one, and it is described to be a universal makeup primer for all skin types. The shine stopping pore diffusing primer smooths the way for better foundation application and longer wear with an instant retouch effect. And I wanted to try this one. This is actually my second time trying it. I've been trying things here and there because you guys know, as in my last video, I was saying that I get really oily around my T-zone, so I was looking for more mattifying primers. But what I really wanted to do with this one is see if it truly was pore diffusing, because I didn't really remember from the last time I owned it. So what they actually suggest as well artistry tip: if you have dry skin, apply primer to the areas of the face that tend to get oily, like the T-zone and around the mouth. And for the ultimate first step to the Fenty face, follow with Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Longwear Foundation. And I thought that was really interesting. So they're saying that use this first and then use your mattifying primer to further matte down those areas like your T-zone and around the mouth, which is where I get the most shine as well. So I'm going to try that. So let's go ahead and start with that. I am using the 110 brush, and I am going to kind of, as they advised, focus on my most difficult areas, if you would say that. Okay. Now, what I will say is that when I originally tried this brush, I felt like it was really stiff, and maybe what I'm realizing is that it did need a little water because I cleaned it afterwards to kind of soften the bristles. So that may be something a little helpful to know. And then we are going to go in with the mattifying primer, and they describe this one as a next level mattifying primer to oily skin that works instantly to deliver maximum all-day shine control while improving and extending foundation wear. Now available in a mini size. And I did get both of these in the mini size because I wanted to try both of them, and I was trying to save on money because all of the things you're seeing today I did purchase myself. So I went with the mini sizes, which I think is a great thing that they made it so that you can trial it. I am again putting that right there on the 110 brush and putting that all over my face. Well, I'm sorry, not all over, just on the T-zone that we talked about earlier to see how that does. Okay. So that is on, and I think pretty good in the areas that I wanted, focusing it right there in the center of the face as they suggested. And that part wasn't shown in the tutorial that we watched. I don't know why. Maybe he had already primed the face. Maybe he didn't feel like the face needed to be primed, but I am priming mine because, again, I get really, really oily in those areas. But let's go ahead and get to the tutorial, and starting with the foundation, it looks like. And I am using the Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Longwear Foundation. My color is 385 in the foundation, and they describe this as a medium to full coverage for all long wear, light as air, a soft matte long wear foundation with buildable medium to full coverage, now in a boundary of 50 shades. So it should be a shade for everyone is what they claim. 385 seems to be my best shade. So we're gonna go in with the brush first. He suggests to build coverage. So let's do that. And I wanted to kind of like do that on this side, and then I want to, because again, we're trying to save the dollar, so I wanted to just make sure that if there was something that you had at home already, kind of similar to how I did, that you could use with what areas I felt like you could cut. And for me, it was definitely this 110 brush, because I have a very similar, I guess what they would say, full body brush that I actually purchased from TJ Maxx. This one is from Bare Minerals, and I just was on the makeup wall at TJ Maxx looking for a similar brush to that. This was years ago, still works perfectly fine. So I'm just gonna put my foundation on this one as well and do the other side to see if you guys feel like you definitely need the Fenty version of the brush, or if you can just go to TJ Maxx or any other drugstore and get a full body brush that works equally as well and does the same job. Because what we're going to find in the next step is that this is really just building coverage, but I feel like it's not the heavy hitter on what we need to apply our foundation. So let's go ahead and try this other one now. Okay, here's the foundation. I have everything laid out, so I'm getting myself confused, but I'm trying to keep it as organized as possible. So let's go in with the other side. See, I mean, look at that. I feel like exact same effect, maybe even, dare I say, better. So the 110 brush is definitely one that I won't be keeping. That's something that I also wanted to go in about with this as well, is that Fenty does offer 60-day returns, which I think is amazing. They basically say if you don't absolutely love it, feel free to return it within 60 days. So I will definitely be doing that. Little side note as well, I started with shade 390 at first when I originally tried her foundation. I've been wearing this foundation, I would say at least for what, like 3 years when it originally launched, and it was my wrong shade. I'm still trying to learn too, you guys. So here is the 385. I mean, look at that. I haven't even put it on my forehead, and just look at how good it is blending. Like, that is crazy. I just purchased 385, by the way, like on Wednesday. So I've been wearing the wrong shade this whole time, but it's fine. It's fine. It was close enough to where it wasn't such a big deal, considering you guys know I don't wear makeup really outside of this YouTube channel that I've created. And like on a Saturday and Sunday when I'm going out, I really want to be done up. I'll wear makeup then, but just during the week when I'm going to work, I usually do not. So nobody was really calling me out about it because, I mean, no one's really paying that much attention to me, let's be honest, outside of here. So the 390 was working just fine until I got this 385. But once I put this on, you guys, when I got it, I was like, I've been wearing the wrong shade this whole time and I'm really frustrated about it. I can't believe I've done that for the past however many years have passed. Now, one thing I also thought was interesting in the tutorial is he often will say also like get your ears to try to neutralize them closer to your face because they can get a little red, which I also thought was really great advice that I never previously thought about until now. So we've got our original or our initial coverage with our brush. Let's go ahead and move on to the sponge. He says is the next step. One thing I also thought was interesting when I'm just reading under the listing is they said it should only take about 2 pumps to get your entire face. I feel like that is untrue. You guys have seen me already. It took almost a pump for each side, and I even did another pump just to get the rest of my face. I feel like, yes, it definitely requires more than 2 pumps to get your entire face. Please let me know if you disagree with that. But we're gonna go ahead and move into our sponge. So I have my Beauty Blender, and I also have their Fenty sponge. And I believe this is their Fenty sponge 110. And again, I just wanted, if you already have a Beauty Blender at home, I wanted to get both of them though. Like I wanted to order the Fenty one just to see if I saw any difference. And if I was like, yes, you definitely need both of them, like they do completely different things. You're gonna wake up and feel so differently in the morning with this one, but I'm gonna do this one on this side, this one on this side, so we can kind of see the difference here. So I'm going to go back with my Beauty Blender on this side and kind of build that coverage a bit more. Yes, you see this? You guys, look at it. It looks so good. It looks so good. Okay, so we've got that on that side. Let's do our other side with theirs. Okay, that's gonna go on this side. Okay, we're looking good. We're looking good. Here we go. Here we go. So I do feel that again, this will be one of the other items I am sending back, because I feel like my Beauty Blender does equally as good at dispersing the makeup, adding that additional layer that we want for the buildable coverage. And I honestly feel like because it's shaped in this way, it's almost a little bit easier to hold as well. I don't know. You guys, if you have both, let me know what you think about that. But let's go ahead and see what we are doing next. So next, we're going to go in with the Pro Filter Instant Retouch Concealer. So concealer is our next step. They describe this as being a creamy, long-wear, crease-proof concealer that delivers light as air, medium to full coverage in a groundbreaking range of 50 easy-to-shop soft matte shades. And they describe an instant photo soft coverage for all, long-wear, light as air, and crease-proof. So usually they actually have, which I really loved when I was just kind of starting to get introduced to makeup, they also make your exact same foundation shade in the concealer. So I think that that's really something to consider when you're just starting in the makeup world and trying to figure out what matches the best with your complexion. I feel like they made that super duper easy to identify, okay, if I'm 385, like I said, in my foundation, I should also be 385 in the concealer. The more I have learned and watched though, I feel like that's a perfectly fine way to go, which I was doing before until Wednesday. All of this, you guys, is new since Wednesday that I'm describing to you. So what I tried this time is what they suggest. I want to go slightly lighter, kind of give that more brightness effect under the eyes. They suggest that you go lower. So I want to say in the tutorial that he uses, he goes down from 310 to 300 if I'm not mistaken, and I am going from 385 to 370. And the reason I didn't go with 380 is because they have warm peach undertones in 380. And what I'm realizing now is that I am not a peach undertone. I am either neutral or more yellow. So I decided to go to 370, which is a step down with the neutral undertones in it. So let's go ahead and apply that. And he is placing that under the eye. And yes, and he's placing it around the nose. Okay, so I was so glad when I found this tutorial, when I really started to get into these products, because when I tell you, I did not know anything really about where to contour, or when they said contouring, what that truly meant. So here is where they are saying you should place it. So you put it around the eyes, you put it around the nose. You're supposed to put it, I want to say, right over here, and then chin area, and also he puts it right on the forehead area there. So then we go back in with our beauty blender and we are going to blend all of that out. Okay, so blending, blending, blending. Don't remember if I did this, but this part of the nose as well. If I didn't say that before, I can't remember. So sad. You guys, just look at how much like brightness that gives to the under eye area, just using a little bit lighter than the foundation shade. I absolutely love that. It blends out so well. Of course, I didn't make you guys watch me blend the whole thing, but that is the foundation along with the concealer shade, and I am loving it. So let's move on to the next step. So the next step in the tutorial that he suggests is the Pro Filt'r Instant Retouch Setting Powder. And I got the mini size because I was in between shades and I didn't really know which one to get. They said according to my skin tone that they recommended me to either do the Honey, which is the one that I currently have, which is for medium to medium deep with warm undertones, or the Hazelnut, which is medium deep to deep with warm undertones. So I'm still waiting for the Hazelnut to come in. I did order that one as well because I was in between shades, but I want to say the Honey is the only one that came in the mini size. The Hazelnut was only in the larger size. And of course, at this point, I wanted to make sure that I was saving as much as I could because I was ordering quite a few things to try them out. So I really, really, really like the Honey color though. Once I've received it, I used it twice now and I really like it, and I feel like it works really well with my skin complexion in the areas that he's suggesting that we use it. Now, I would say if I was going to probably use it around the border, like where my skin is a little bit darker, because here we're of course trying to lighten it, I would say maybe the Hazelnut would be better, but for what we're going to use it for, I feel like Honey is the best. And I feel like that even in the research that I did, a lot of people said you want to go with your lighter shade for what it says that you should go with. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. So if your shade is saying that you either need the Honey or Hazelnut, you want to go with the lighter shade. So whatever your shade is, the two colors that it says you're in between, most of the things that I saw said that you should go with the lighter shade. Let's see how they describe this. They describe it as a super fine, weightless, loose setting powder curated in 8 sheer shades to perfect and extend makeup wear for that filtered, photo-ready finish on lock. And it is light as air setting, photo soft finish for all. So let's go ahead and go in with our powder. I'll be applying it with what they recommend, which is the Powder Puff Setting Brush 170, and they describe this brush as a mega plush loose powder designed to seamlessly blend and set for an instantly filtered finish that lasts, and mega plush silhouette, seamless all over setting. And this is actually one of the brushes I really like and I'm definitely going to keep. And the reason for that is I do have a more full brush like this that can kind of sweep over the face, but when you get this brush, it is so soft. It feels so good on the face, and I feel like because it's a little softer, it does the powder job a little bit better than my other brush. So this is definitely one of the brushes out of the tools that I've shown you so far that I would definitely say a yes to the powder puff brush in the 170 is what it is called. And what he recommends is going in, so he puts it in the top there, he kind of swirls it around, does the excess off, and he says just around the perimeter for now. So I'm going to kind of dust that around the perimeter of my face currently. Okay, go. I feel like that is pretty well dusted. I don't know, you guys tell me what you think. Do we see any difference with the dusting of the perimeter? I'm not entirely sure. I do it because I feel like that's what's right to do and that's what was suggested. I don't know, this set is looking pretty good. Okay. So I really like the powder, really like the brush that goes along with it. We are going into now our next step. So moving on to the next step in the tutorial, he says that bronzer should be next. And this is actually making its entrance for the first time in my makeup routine is bronzer. Back in the day in high school, bronzer was a thing, of course, but I just never could place it within my makeup routine. And I never found one that I thought worked well with my complexion. I didn't know how to pair it well with my complexion, I think is key. I'm not saying that they weren't out there. I just didn't know how to find the right one for my complexion and for my face. And that's why I think I really love Fenty, is because they do a great job of saying, here's your number and here's what matches with those numbers. And I'm like, please make it that easy for me, because when I tell you guys, I don't know. I'm not one that can go into Sephora and be like, you know what, this is mine. And I think that this will also look good with my complexion. I have no idea. So I was so thankful that Fenty created like this whole universe and where they're like, here, as long as you know this information, you can figure out this information. And that I thought was super duper helpful. So we are going to move on to the bronzer, and this one is the Stalker Instant Warmth Bronzer, and they describe this as a long wear, transfer resistant bronzing powder in 8 groundbreaking shades, each carefully curated to bring all skin tones to life with an instant sun-soaked glow. So instant sun-soaked glow that lasts. It's supposed to be blendable, buildable, and transfer resistant. And what we are trying to do is create, they say, some warmth to our complexion with the bronzer. So I chose shade Caramel Cutie, and let me open that up. That is kind of how that shade looks. They say that you can also do with the complexion 385, or with the color 385, they say you can also do Cocoa Naughty. I chose to go with the Caramel Cutie instead of the Cocoa Naughty because the Cocoa Naughty definitely has more warmth to Cocoa Naughty. I'm going to kind of put a photo of the one that they have on the website to compare, but it definitely is a little more brown, and I wanted something a little bit more golden to bronze with. So let's go ahead in with the bronzer here. Tutorial, he is using brush 195, which is one of their brushes for bronzing, but I am using the Cheek Hugging Bronzer brush, which is 190. The reason I chose this one instead of the other one is that does give you more defined lines, or that's how they describe it. And since I was new to bronzer in general, I really wanted something that was going to be easy for me to use and, let's be frank, not mess up, because I'm not like a makeup guru. I tried to go with something that was less likely to have user error and to still get the same effect, hopefully. So if you are fairly new to makeup, or if you are not very familiar with how to use bronzer, I would definitely go with the Cheek Hugging Bronzer brush in 190. And they describe this brush as an extra large, super plush bronzer brush that's expertly chiseled to hug the curves of your face for an all over bronze glow. Custom curve, hugging shape, instant sun-soaked glow. And I do plan on keeping this brush. I really, really like it. It does truly hug the face. I will say that I agree with what they are claiming that it does. And what they suggest is that we apply the bronzer to the cheeks, the temples, and any areas where sun would naturally hit your face. In the video, he is doing, let's go ahead and open it and do it ourselves here. So he dusts it kind of off on his hand as such, and then he goes into the cheeks. Let's see. And he goes around the temples. Perfect. I do feel like it's already starting to warm up. Do you kind of see that, you guys? I'm just realizing that like my right side seems to be my good side, but I'm gonna show you both sides regardless. So it's definitely warming up those areas. Other areas that they suggest is under the jawline. And it looks like kind of the tip of the nose area as well. Then he suggests actually blending that all out together with our beauty blender, or with whatever, I'll say the sponge. I'm sorry, beauty blender is specific to brand. So I will say whatever sponge you are using, he suggests then going back over and blending out those areas there, which I like blending because I like my makeup to look as natural as possible, if I'm being honest. So there's that. Then actually he suggests going a shade up is the next step, and he uses Cocoa Naughty in this tutorial, which if you remember before, we actually said that that was the next step up from Caramel Cutie. So if you're like, well, I already have Cocoa Naughty and Caramel Cutie, this seems to be a good use for that. However, I did not get both of those, so this is the only step that I'll be using something that is not exclusively Fenty Beauty's brand to be doing the step that he's describing. Instead, I am going to be using my, I believe it's pronounced Huda Beauty, and I actually got this from Sephora. They recommended it, and it's in their medium shade, and it's for contour and bronzer cream. But the Cocoa Naughty is what he is using for Fenty's product to do this step. And also, if you like their match sticks, they also have match sticks contour sticks that I feel like you could also use to do this with. I got these years ago, so mine is in the color Espresso, and you can use that for contouring, I feel like. But to be honest, I feel like for the color variation that we're going for, because Espresso is a little bit darker, I feel like, than my medium Huda Beauty, and I feel like the medium is actually better for our skin complexion to give us that more contoured look, but without such strict darker contoured lines, I feel like. And what I noticed when I was going and looking at some of these products in Sephora is that this also comes in truffle, which I feel like is actually closer to this. So if you are looking for a matchsticks version of this, I would go with truffle. If you are wanting to use a bronzer for this step, which is what he is using, then Cocoa Naughty, I would agree, would be the good shade for similar complexion people. But I am again going in with my Huda Beauty contour, and he is going with this sculpting bronzer brush 195 that he actually used in the last step. So I could see that if you were looking for one to use for both of these steps, that may be a good idea to go with the 195 brush. That way you can use it for the bronzer and the contouring step that he's about to do. But I have this Sephora Pro Contour 78 is the brush that I'm going to be using. Like I said, I chose to go with the cheek hugging version so that it would be a little bit more easily dispersible. But I really love the way that he applies the darker shade for contouring here, because as someone that is very new to contouring, my question honestly, and you guys may laugh at this, I was like, what is the bronzer the contouring, or what is contouring? Because I felt like we were warming up our faces, but no, I believe is the answer. I feel like what I've learned is contouring is the action. It's the action of lightening up the areas here and the action of darkening some of the other areas to create that look. Now, what we are doing is creating these looks with bronzers in this particular tutorial. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking about what I'm doing and just do it. So he suggests that you kind of go here and you're going to kind of do this upwards feathery roundabout motion here to create kind of that effect. And what I really like about this too is in one of his tutorials, I've done a lot of watching of tutorials in case you guys haven't noticed within the past few days, but he also recommends using the top of your ear as a guide of where that should go. And I feel like as someone that's still learning all of these things, all of these tips are helpful. So we're gonna go with the other side. This little sweeping feathery motion because I never want to use too much of this. And that's why I like this shade, the medium, a little bit better, is because I wasn't doing the contouring a lot, I feel like, before, because I feel like espresso just was too dark and it was giving me really, really, really noticeable lines that I didn't like. So I feel like this and the way that he's doing it is making it look much more natural and much more easy for me to do and more palatable. So again, I feel like truffle is good, or any medium like tone. I feel like espresso is getting a little bit dark for the way I like to do my makeup. And again, fairly new. I don't claim to be like the best at any of this. All right, and they say, of course, you want to also dust it around there as well. Okay, what are we thinking so far, you guys? How are we feeling about this? And if we are truly using this as a contouring step, because this is also something I was unsure about as well, in addition to here and around the head, you also want to kind of go right under here. You can go to the sides of your nose, and they say even like in their eye area. So I just wanted to point all of this out because, again, I was really confused on how all of this worked until I started watching more and more tutorials when I was going into this deep dive with Fenty, but those are the other places you would apply them from what I am understanding. Okay guys, and there you have it. That is the base of our makeup look here from following that tutorial. We have primed, we have done the foundation, we have done our concealer, we have used a little bit of our setting powder around the perimeter, and we have also used our bronzer, not only for the bronzing of the cheeks, but also a darker bronzer or a darker shade to slightly add that contouring effect. So that's the end of this video. Like I said, I didn't want to make these videos a cajillion years long, so I broke them into sections. So this is the first part of that. If you guys want to see, we're going to be moving on to the eyes next according to the tutorial, and we'll go on from there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in as always. See you guys in the next video. Bye!